Now, if you sleep with someone who snores, you may have to just lie there and keep saying over and over, valuable, they're valuable, they're valuable. You know?
Hello again, everyone, and welcome into today's episode of Heartbeat, the podcast, featuring the teaching and the insight of Landon Saunders. Today we return one more time to Landon's popular community workshop series entitled Feeling Good About Yourself, where he's focused on some successful attitudes for relationships. Here's Landon.
What are some successful attitudes that I can bring? And these are our values and attitudes that can help. Let me give you a little list of these. First of all, remember the value of a human being, and that value is not based on their performance or lack of it. That a human being, as we were pointing out last night, has inherent value. Now, I think it'd be a good thing sometimes to teach this value to your children. If you would perhaps tell them sometimes, say, kids, guess what? And kids love surprise. And they're going to say, what? Listen, something unbelievably grand is going to happen in our house on Friday evening. What is it? What is it? What's going to happen on Friday evening? Oh, something really grand. Something that hasn't happened in this house maybe for a long time. Something wonderful is going to happen. Well, what is it? What's going to happen? Listen, when this happens on Friday night, you're going to be so thrilled. You're not going to be able to believe it and just keep going and just build it until they're just about to burst. Something wonderful is going to happen in this house on Friday night. And when they can stand it no longer, say, we've invited a human being to come for dinner. And we need your help. We need your help to make this dinner and to make this night grand for this human being. Will you help? Because a person is the most important thing in the world. And this particular person is one of the grandest individuals in the world. Or this particular person has been hurt a lot lately, and they need encouragement. And so what we want to do, we want this to be a real red carpet affair. And you may want to dress the children up and put them in their best clothes and let them be waiters and waitresses. And you may want to light the candles in celebration of what? Just in celebration of a human being. And sometimes you may want to have a day that's just special when it's not even a birthday. It's not even Christmas. It's not even Thanksgiving. But this is a day, when we're going to just celebrate one member of your family or just a friend. Or what a difference it would make sometime if you use your children's room sometimes for guests, or if you have a guest room. And somebody's going to come and they're going to spend the night, and you know what you do. You go in and you may want to put some special flowers up, and you get that room to where it's just right. To somehow say to your child, boy, we've got a special guest tonight. Not going to be here long. And then take them to their room. This is the room that the guest is going to be in. What could we do to this room? What could we do to make this room happier? What could we do to make this room more special? But Mother, this is my room. This is my room. Oh, yes, you're the one I'm talking about. You're the guest, and we're going to make tonight really special. What are relationships for? They're for joy. Remembering Now, if you sleep with someone who snores, you may have to just lie there and keep saying over and over, valuable, they're valuable, they're valuable. Now they do have a little electrical wire that you sort of put around the neck and plug in the socket. Now the problem with that is that you want to turn up the electricity sometimes too much. Or when a grown adult, rational, sensible, intelligent, leaves all those little toothpaste mints in the sink. Can't that be distressing? Grown people that might leave their underclothing on the floor. It can be so distressing. So distressing. The value of a human being. Secondly, you got to remember that a human being is the most important thing in the world. Now, they're valuable. Because they're valuable, they're the most important thing in the world. That nothing is as important as another human life. Oh, if we could get this into all of our lives, the incredible importance of just a human life. And if this could become our style, to look at people and to relate to people, knowing how incredibly important they are. And not to wait until it's too late. Not to wait.
Landon will be back in less than 30 seconds. But we did want to remind you to visit thisisheartbeat.com for additional resources that are available featuring Landon's teachings, including the Heartbeat Radio program, now available at the website. Here's Landon.
And then another successful attitude is to think of relationships, because they are difficult, as something that you have to invest in. You just have to invest in. If they weren't important, you wouldn't have to invest so much. But you invest heavily in your relationships. I bought a car, and I picked the car that I wanted. And I took the car that I was driving in, and I said to the person, and I lived in this town and was going to obviously get the service from the dealer that I bought from. And so I said, this is the car I want. This is my car. You think it over. Do right by yourself. Do right by your company. And put on this piece of paper the difference between my car and this car, and I'll tell you whether I'll do it or not, and you get one shot at it. Now, I'm just playing. And so, well, no, we'll negotiate this. We'll deal with, no, we won't. You know, I want you to be fair to yourself, be fair to your company, and do your customer the best you can do. That's all I ask. Well, it took forever. But finally got a figure. And I looked at the figure and I said, okay, I'll do that on one condition, that you add $50. And at first he said, no, this is the best we can do. See, he was so accustomed. And I said, no, I want you to add $50. And if you'll add $50, well, we got a deal. Because I want you taken care of, I want your company taken care of, and I want the customer taken care of. Well, I don't have to tell you that I got wonderful service. Did you ever go through a toll booth and pay the toll to the person behind you? The race is on. You know, you're going down the road and here they come and they're looking over and they're trying to think, who in the world? You know, they're thinking they may know you. Just pay the toll of that person that's behind. Invest. And then watch expectations. An attitude with lots of expectations on it's not a good attitude to have. And so try to lower those expectations. Someone said, no human being has a right to hold any expectations for another human being ever. I believe that's true, but I think it's awfully hard to grasp. Now, a couple of practical tips and we're through. First practical tip is, remember in relationships the power of the words, I'm sorry. I'll tell you, they're just magic. I tell kids when they're into it with their parents, well, just go tell them you're sorry. Your parents will it'll melt them down like warm ice cream. You know, they're not accustomed. You'll shock them to death. You probably have to have smelling salts to bring them to. Tell them that you're sorry, that you just messed up, you forgot. If I had the power to do anything in this audience that I could do tonight, do you know what I would do? I wouldn't have to think that long. If I had the power, I would forgive every person in this audience for every regret and failure and mistake that you've made. forgiveness is so powerful. I would just walk among you and I would say, I forgive you, and you're forgiven, and you're forgiven, and you're forgiven, and you're forgiven. It lets you go on with life. It's a practical thing, but it's magic. Human beings need it to get on in their relationships. And then, don't forget the sense of humor. When things get hot in your house, be sure and remember, instead of just staying there and fighting it out, leave. When it gets dangerous, just walk out the door and slam it for emphasis, and then check your watch. And wait 30 seconds. Don't go back too quickly. And don't wait too long. And then at the end of that 30 seconds, you go back and don't walk in, knock. And when that other person comes to the door, before they can say anything, you say, wow, am I glad to see a smiling face? You should have seen the person I just talked to. Now, see, what are we doing there? All we're doing is sort of breaking this thing up just a little bit. Every family needs a stick with a white flag on it. And when things say, excuse me for a moment, and go and get that stick and just hold it around the corner and wave that white flag. This is Secretaries Week. Secretaries sometimes can have a real hard time because sometimes they might have a boss now and then they don't know how to treat a secretary. The secretary told me, she said, my boss is always on my case. He's always just saying, getting on me and yelling at me and screaming and saying, why did you do that? Why did you do that? She said, I don't know what to do. I said, well, the next time he does it, you just look up and say, I do it because I'm incompetent. Well, a few days passed and I saw her again and she said, you know, my boss did it again. Jumped over me and said, you know, why did you do that? And just screaming and yelling, and why did you do that? And said, I just looked up and said, I'm incompetent. And he said, oh, no, you're not incompetent, you see. You're always late. And they say, why are you late? Why are you late? Well, you got to have some way of dealing with that. The next time it happens, you tell them, you say, I'm so sorry, but I was on my way and I saw someone and I stopped to tell them what a wonderful person you are, and it just made me a few moments late. We need lots of this going in our relationships.
Just a few attitudes that can totally change the nature of a relationship. We hope you've been encouraged by today's Heartbeat, the podcast featuring Landon Saunders, and we invite you to visit the website thisisheartbeat.com for additional materials made possible by Friends of Heartbeat. Until next time, here's to feeling good about yourself.